Okay, so this is the 6th part of the Scorpion walk tutorial, and so far we've managed to get our Scorpion walking along quite nicely. And the next thing to do is to import a set and make it interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire up Google, and I'm going to search for Turbo Squid, which is a great resource for free Maya sets and rigs and all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to search for a subway. I think we're going to have a subway here. It's a really nice little free Maya set, really excellent modeling made by the mysterious Pt6. I don't know who Pt6 is, but all props to him. And you should always make sure to credit Pt6 on your demo reels, always giving credit to people, especially when you're using free stuff, because it's very nice for people to give us free stuff to use, so we should always credit their talent and hard work. So you can go to download if you haven't registered already with Turbo Squid. Go ahead and register, download the set, and save it to, you should have a sets folder in an assets folder on your desktop, which is what I'm going to now do. I'm going to go to File, Import, and I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to go to my Alex folder, which has a teaching folder, and then assets, and then sets, and there it is, subway, and I'm now going to import the subway set. So that will now import into Maya, and it will probably come in, yes, very, very big. It's much, much bigger than you can see. Our little Scorpion is getting quite lost down there. So I'm going to go into the outliner. And you can see this is all the geometry that's come in with the subway. Now, it has not been grouped into one group, and it really should be. So I'm going to scroll down here and shift select, holding down the shift key, and then select all of the geometry. I'm now going to go Control G on my keyboard, and what that does is groups everything. It creates a new group called, by default, Group 1, but I'm going to double click on that and call that Subway Group. Enter. And what that means is that we now got everything in one group, so it's much easier to manage. You have to manage your outliner carefully, otherwise it will get very, very messy in here. So now that we've got that done, let's go ahead and scale it. I'm going to scale it down to 0.1. Hit F to focus in, and it's still kind of big, so I'm going to call it 0.05. There we go. That looks nice. Now, actually, maybe a bit less. Let's go to maybe a bit bigger than that. 0.07. How about that? There we go. And now, having done that, I'm going to. What I want to do is sort of have the Scorpion kind of wander out of the subway. So I'm just going to move the subway over so that the Scorpion appears to be walking out of the subway and into our sort of terrifying sci-fi world of make-believe. So there it is. There's our Scorpion walking out. But you can see that our set isn't really long enough, so we're sort of running out of space over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the... I'm going to right-click on the subway and go to vertex mode. And now I'm just going to select these vertices on the end, hold down the shift key and pull them out in Z. So this is a sort of poor man's set extension. And now if I zoom in again, I've now got an extended set. Now I want to go back to object mode, and I want to create a camera. So I'm going to go create cameras, camera, and now go panels. Oops, what's happening here? Panels, look through selected, which I'm now looking through the camera, which I've just created and is automatically selected. And I'm now going to set that camera up. So let's put it there. So let's have our Scorpion kind of emerge from the subway in a suitably frightening fashion. And now I'm going to double click on camera 1 and I'm going to call that shot cam. I can also find it through the outliner, window outliner. That will pull it up. There it is, shot cam. So now we know what it is. And now I'm going to lock off all of these translates and rotates so we can't move the camera by mistake. So down to lock selected. And this now is our shot cam here on the right. On the left-hand side, we'll have our perspective view. So we can still dolly and zoom there. And now having done that, I'm going to go ahead and select the subway in the outliner. And I'm going to assign a material. So I think I want a bit of color in this. So I'm going to go right-click, assign favorite material, Lambert. And that should pull up a Lambert. Why hasn't it done it? Where is my Lambert? Okay, I'm going to have to find it. I'm going to go into Window, Rendering Editors, Hypershade. And that will pull up the hypershade where I can find my Lambert. Now I know by default, you've always got Lambert 1 in Maya. That's the default shader that comes in with every shot. So Lambert 2 will be the subway Lambert. And I'm going to minimize the hypershade. I'm going to call this subway material like that. Enter. And down here in the color node, I'm going to click on that and just go and using the color wheel there, I'm just going to give this a kind of light brown kind of stone feel to it. And then go back to the channel box. And now I've got my scorpion kind of walking in my set. Sort of, it's going to be emerging from the subway in a suitably scary fashion. So now that I've got that, I'm going to go ahead and save it. And once I've saved it, I'm going to add a, well, how long do we want to make this shot? Let's make it 4 seconds. Let's say that's 99 frames. So I'm going to go from 1 to 99, like that. And let's go ahead and actually one thing we need to do is to create a layer for the subway. So I'm going to go to Layers, Create Empty Layer, double click on Layer 1, and let's call that Subway Layer, or actually just Subway Geo will do us fine. Save that, and now I want to go Window, Outliner, click on the subway, minimize the outliner, and now go to right-click, Add Selected Objects. And now my subway is in a layer, so I can turn it on and off whenever I want. And what I'm going to do is go to the world control on our Scorpion and hit S at frame 1. And then go to frame 99, and I'm just going to yank the Scorpion along like that. And now, if I press play, I should have the Scorpion kind of walking along the ground, and I should be able to tell from whether its feet are sliding as to whether it's walking too fast or too slow. And I can see actually that it's walking a little slow, because you can see its little feet slipping back on the ground. So that means that it's walking slightly too slow. So I'm going to take that translate Z curve and just pull it up a little bit at the end, speed it up a bit. Now let's see. Whenever you animate this way, which is to say animate a character walking on the spot and then add a translation, you always run the risk that the feet will slide on the ground. That's why it's very important that when we animated these legs, that we didn't adjust the value for the Z translation when the foot is on the ground. The Z translation for each foot needs to be identical, otherwise we will never make it right. But if each foot is traveling the same amount of distance on the ground, then in theory, we should be able to avoid the feet slipping, or at least not slipping too much. That looks okay. It's probably still slipping slightly backwards. I'm just going to inch that up a little bit more. I'm just really eyeballing this. Just do those feet feel solid? And they feel pretty solid now. So now I'm going to turn on my subway geometry, and now I've got my Scorpion kind of walking out of the subway. Scary stuff, I'm sure you'll agree. Now, we could actually, if we want to have a bit more fun with it, go to our outliner, select our shot camera, and unlock those. So unlock selected, and then at frame 1, I'm going to hit S, and I'm just going to move that camera slightly, like that, and hit S, and then at frame 99, I might just move the camera again to keep the scorpion in view and hit S. And then what I might do is flatten those tangents out so we get a little bit of a moving camera and we're kind of following it. Okay, so that's already a bit more interesting. Moving camera is usually slightly more interesting than a fixed camera. So now that we've got that working, we can... actually, another thing you'd probably want to do is you're probably going to want to add something in the background here. So you might have to import another set, maybe some buildings, some billboards, a skyline, something, because this feels a bit sort of infinity. It feels like we're on the edge of a cliff. So you probably would want to import something else. But I'm reasonably happy with that now, so I'm going to go ahead and save it. File, save scene as, Scorpion walk set, and I'm going to call that version 10. Save as, continue. And in the next video, I'll show you how to bake out the curves.